Folks, this market has turned many dreams into nightmares. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the city of Toronto for week ending January 22nd, 2025. This market has turned so many dreams into nightmares. I recently met with a young couple. They were looking to sell their home and downsize to a condo. They were looking to sell and downsize, being a young couple, because they just had too much financial pressure. And the whole point was that if they downsized to a condo, they'd get the relief they needed financially. Now, they had owned their home for about 8 years. So, when I just think of the numbers and not their specific situation and just think, okay, you've owned the home for 8 years, you've owned during the time of massive appreciation, they should have lots of equity there. But the reality is, when we sat down and we looked at it, their mortgage now was actually higher. It was more than when they purchased originally. So when we looked at taking the equity from their home to downsize and buy the condo, couldn't do that. They wouldn't qualify that way. There just wasn't enough equity there. And so the next step is, well, you've got so much. They had some equity and they're just not enough. So then you got to add some savings to that to increase your down payment for the home you want to buy, the condo you wanted to buy. And they said they had no savings. This may seem as an isolated situation, this story that I'm telling you right now, but I come across this often. Many, many people in this situation right now, and have been before, where they believe and feel everything is tied into their home, all their equity, money, everything. And from the beginning of time, they've been told, buy a home, you'll be fine. Buy a home, everything will be good as long as you buy a home. Well, there's many people that did just that. They bought a home and things are not so good. They thought they were going to be good because they bought, and that's what they were told for years and years and years. And now they've bought and things are not good. Even for many that have owned for a while, things are not so great for them. The way we look at things really needs to change. Times have changed. We need to look at home ownership differently. I'll give you another example. We've been told for years, since I remember being a kid, go to school, get a job, you'll be fine. Go to school, study, get a job, you'll be fine. Well, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of students that did just that. They went to university for 3, 4, 5 years. They studied whatever they could study. Universities have no shortage of courses you could take and subjects you could learn. And that's what a lot of people did. They went to university, they studied, and then struggled to find a job after. There's lots, or what they studied, the job really that they're in really doesn't pay that much, and so forth. But the whole notion of study, get a job, you'll be fine, it's not what it used to be. And I'm relating that back to home ownership. I still believe in home ownership. I think it's an important step in life, but it's not the only thing. If the thought is buy a home and I'll be good, if the equity in your home and home values need to continue to increase forever so you could be good, that's flawed, that thought process. And we've seen, if anything, this downturn in the market has taught us that maybe home ownership is not the only safety net we need. Maybe we need another safety net. Maybe we need multiple safety nets to protect us financially. The young couple I talked about, and there's many just like them, they worked so hard to save money for their down payment. But the minute they got their home, they let off on that. There was no more money going into savings and home values were increasing. They felt so good and confident. And it's like it's the market's fault. But the market does what a market does. Markets go up, markets go down. there needs to be more safety net. And I'm really hoping that this downturn in the market is really making people think long and hard as to how they're organizing themselves and not putting all their hopes and dreams into just home ownership. If this video, if you find it can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. There's a link below this video. It's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. Let's get right into it. This report is just for the city of Toronto for freehold properties. We're going to be looking more closely at detached, semis, towns, just for the city of Toronto. I do have condo here, average sold prices, just for reference. The average condo price versus the average detached price for week ending January 22nd. Is an $840,000 difference in average sold prices. We're starting off with the detached market for week ending January 22nd. 78 detached properties were sold. 14 of those were at $2 million or more. Sales are increasing, which is what we would normally typically see at this time of the year. We saw it last year. We see it every year at this time as we come out of the holiday season and we start getting, into January, February. We do see sales increasing as we get into the spring market. Average sold price is $1,517,000, up from the previous few weeks. 1517, however, if we kind of draw a line across, really is at the low end of what we've seen most of last year. 1517 is 4% lower than where the price was this time a year ago. The median price of 1.3 million is 3% lower year over year. I moved aside because sometimes I get comments, people saying, we can't see the whole chart. Here you go. You can see the whole chart now. 78 were sold, 44%. So 34 sold at list price or more. We are starting to see more and more properties coming out, especially in the lower price points, coming out with an offer date pricing strategy. I'll talk more about that at another time. Listings did come down over the previous week. I would have expected to see listings continue to increase, but they did come down a little bit. Active listings is increasing gradually, so that's picking up. More and more properties are sitting on the market as unsold and available for sale. Months of inventory has been coming down. It's now sitting at 3.8, which is still a little bit higher than where we were in November. So, just before we went into the December and the holiday season, we're still at 3.8, a little bit higher than we were before. At some point, we're going to see it leveling off or balancing off. Here's the city broken down into 9 different sections. And if the whole city's sitting at 3.8 months of inventory, well, 2.3 months of inventory is in Riverdale, Beaches area, East York. High Park, 2.3. There were only 5 properties that were sold in High Park. They were all at list price or more. So 100% of those, 44% in East York, Riverdale. I did say that we're seeing more and more a higher percentage of properties, especially in the lower price point, coming out with an offer date pricing strategy. I just looked through the Scarborough. Scarborough's sitting at 2.8, and the reason I focused on Scarborough, typically we see Scarborough with the lowest months of inventory. Typically we see a lot of activity in Scarborough. It seems to be a little bit more aggressive than the rest of Toronto. But if we look at the previous 7 days, there were 40 detached properties listed at a maximum of $1.2 million. So $1.2 million or less over the last 7 days. There were 40 detached properties listed. 75% of those were listed with an offer date. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is if you are a buyer and you're looking to buy in Scarborough or any of the other parts of the city or the GTA, this is going to affect you. If you do not, or you're not comfortable, or your agent is not comfortable participating in offer dates, well, this is what you're going to come across. 75%. If you're looking to buy for $1.2 million or less in Scarborough, there's a really good chance 75% of the properties are going to be listed with an offer date. You got to learn to deal with that. Just because there's an offer date doesn't necessarily mean you need to spend more. Semi-detached properties. Sales are up. 30 semi-detached properties sold. 5 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price shot way up to $1,362,000. 5 out of 30 sold at $1.5 million or more. That helps explain why average sold price shot way up. Average sold price is 18% higher than we were this time a year ago. The median price is 19% higher. Months of inventory has been coming down. It's now sitting at 1.8 months of inventory. And if we look at previous to heading into the holiday season, 1.8 is a little bit lower than where we were sitting before the holiday season. And 67% out of the 30 that sold at list price or more. Semi-detached market's pretty competitive. These are freehold townhouses we're looking at now. Only 4 of them sold, and half of those sold at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price, because of half of them are at $1.5 million or more, way up to $1,376,000. 1,376. I have a hard time saying 35% more than where we were this time a year ago. Look, folks, be careful. I'm not saying your townhouse values went up by 35%. We're just comparing one number at one moment in time to the same moment in time a year ago. The median price is 37% higher. Months of inventory, though, because only 4 sold, is sitting way up at 6.9 months of inventory. Here's the summary of months of inventory. Semis, much more competitive than the detached market. The detached market overall, sitting in more of a balanced market. But that all depends on your price point and where you're shopping. Or the other side, where you're selling. Whether offer strategy is going to work for you, whether it's going to be really competitive, or you have time to sit and think about an offer. That all depends on where you're going, price point, neighborhood, all that takes into account. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.